I want to thank everyone for, I want to apologize first of all for the change. There was, we had to move the date, and this was the only room available. So welcome to the council chambers and welcome to the meeting. With that, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We see no cards to the public, so we'll jump on the first item, which is the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's approved. Then we have some consent items from items 2 and 3.
I'd move approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on items 2 and 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Items pass. And then we have items 4 and 5 that are for information and discussion. We have, we're going to pull out number 4. But if there's, my colleagues would like to discuss number 5, or are you right to?
I would like to talk about 5.
Alrighty. So we have a card for number 4. If we can have a brief, maybe we'll have the speaker come up, and if we need a report or so, we can have a report on that. So come on down. I think it's right over here to the podium. And if you could state your name and your address, please.
Got it. Good morning, Chairman, members of the subcommittee. My name is Brittany Bingold with Pivotal Policy Consulting. I'm here today on behalf of the Arizona Scrap Recyclers Association. First of all, the association wanted to express their appreciation for your continued support of our industry. I'm here today to respectfully request that the subcommittee members direct staff to continue moving forward to drafting amendment language to the city's existing ordinance license. This would satisfy the original intention, which was to include can-only operators in the language, as well as sync up the licensing requirement with state law, which requires all metal operators to register with the state. This helps to keep all operators held accountable, as well as level the market playing field in terms of not encouraging pricing based on an illegal activity. We're happy to work with the city and staff on this language, whatever we can do to help in the process. If I could just give you some quick background. Sorry, it goes back a little bit, so bear with me. But in the 2013 legislative session, a complete overhaul of Title 44 took place. This inadvertently affected the city's ability to license scrap metal dealers. This important licensing ended up going offline for a couple of years, while certain clarifications were made to the state law, which allowed for licensing's reinstatement. When the program was being reinstated in 2015, the city attorneys expressed some concern about a possible conflict for including certain containers like aluminum cans in the licensing language. And so rather than hold up the process of reinstatement, the city's ordinance was drafted and put in place according to the city's process. We believe it was always the intention to include these operators, but for an unrelated state legislative hiccup that was fixed in cooperation with the city for the purpose of making this licensing program whole again. In the 2017 legislative session, the container language bill was fixed with an exemption for Title 44, which leads to the next logical step to make the ordinance fair and complete, which brings us to why I'm here today. It's important to note that can-only operators not being subject to licensure has led to an illegal market in California where operators are buying cans at an inflated value here in Arizona. So we respectfully request that in order to curtail that illegal activity and support the good operators in our state and not encourage good behavior, we request that amendment language continue to move. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Anyone has any questions regarding this issue? I would like to see if staff can go ahead and work with the industry to come up with some kind of a language that we can send to our state representatives to see if there's a way to modify the ordinances that affect us as a city. So maybe we can have those types of conversations between the two of y'all and maybe you can bring it back to us in a future date.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, my name is Denise Archibald with the City Clerk Department, and staff can work on modifying or putting together a proposal to potentially modify the city ordinance to include aluminum can-only operators, and that would require drafting some language. It would require stakeholder input and notification, potentially posting it on the city's website for any new fees that would affect the new operators, and then staff can bring it back as a proposal for council to consider.
Alrighty, thank you. And any other questions? Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we're on item number 5. Is there any questions for staff on item number 5, or would you like a report?
If we could have a brief report.
First of all, I'd like to thank the both chiefs for being here. I know that we started this process back in about April, May. One of the concerns that we had is to look at all the capital needs within all of our fire stations and fire department and police stations and precincts, and also within the police department. So thank you for all your hard work, and it looks like we're coming to wrap this little by little. So with that, it's all yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. As indicated in previous presentations, we've outlined the declining condition of both facilities and vehicles that support public safety due to deferred maintenance stemming from our financial condition during the Great Recession. The request of council today's presentation will focus on capital needs and also potential sources for discussion. So we will start the presentation with Chief Cockburner.
Thank you, Mr. Dohoney. Good morning, Chairman Nowakowski, and member of council of subcommittee. I'm here today to provide you with a summary of our prior presentations and a more detailed cost estimate of the fire department's facility and fleet needs. The fire department has developed a forecast of our highest priority needs for the next 20 years. This forecast was based on multiple factors that include the following criteria: the physical condition of existing apparatus and facilities, the current response times to fire and EMS incidents, the total number of calls for service per apparatus, the fire department's current ability to reach all areas of the city within the National Fire Protection Association response time standards, the known and anticipated growth for the city, as well as the fire department's current capacity to absorb any increased activity. Based on the 20-year forecast, the department's 6 highest priorities include the following: a new fire station located at 39th Avenue and Cactus. This is a top priority due to a significant number of incidents in this area. Based on 2017 data, this station would have received over 2,286 calls for service. Currently, the Glendale Fire Department provides the majority of coverage in this area, specifically for the 2,286 calls that previously mentioned. This new station would have an engine, a rescue, and a medical response unit assigned to it. Second would be a replacement station for fire station number 7, which is one of our oldest stations. It simply is unable to meet the needs of the community due to the size limitations. In 2017, the engine assigned to the station received over 5,410 calls for service. Typically, we try to put new units in service when they run over 4,000 calls. So this was at 5,410 calls for service. While significant, an additional 1,300 calls were dispatched in that engine's first due. However, because they were on previous calls, other units had to be assigned to respond. This new station would have 2 engines, 1 rescue, as well as 1 medical response unit assigned to it. Fire Station 13. This too would be a replacement station. Much like Station 7, the current station is simply unable to meet the demand for service. Station 13 is our oldest and smallest fire station. In 2017, the engine assigned to this fire station received 4,757 calls for service. While significant, an additional 1,217 calls for service were also dispatched in this unit's first due area, like Station 7, so other units had to come in second and due to cover for it, which has increased response times. Our next would be a new fire and police joint use operations center in the downtown area. This facility will greatly improve our ability to provide for public safety during major events. As the city of Phoenix continues to work towards being a big event city, our capacity to provide for public safety can be challenged when we have 200,000 plus people in the downtown area at any given time. Our fleet, with 74% of the fire department's existing fleet considered due for replacement, this is a high priority for us. We are recommending a phased replacement strategy to avoid the situation occurring in the future. Then lastly is a new computer-aided dispatch system. Due to the current system being greater than 20 years old, the technology and hardware will present significant challenges within the next few years. The current CAD system needs to be upgraded or replaced within the next 5 to 7 years. It is important to remember that any additional fire stations identified that I previously spoke about will require additional staffing as well as apparatus. Fire projects on the horizon. In addition to our 6 priorities I just spoke about, we look at the same criteria to add the following additional 5 projects are within our 10 years needs forecast. So you got Fire Station 78 in the 7th Street in Beardsley area, Fire Station 77, 35th Avenue in Campbell area, Station 62, 91st Avenue in Lower Buckeye, which we happen to own the land for out there, Fire Station 73, 67th Avenue in Baseline, this would be a new station, as well as Fire Station 20, 7th Avenue in Glendale, which is a replacement station that we're currently working on the land, which is just adjacent to the current property. The initial costs for our proposed recommendations are the following. The new Fire Station 70, located at 39th Avenue and Cactus area, is estimated between $6 to $7 million. The needed apparatus for the station is estimated at $1 to $1.2 million, and the necessary staffing for the station will cost $6 to $6.3 million, and this will be an ongoing cost. Replacement stations that I spoke about. The 2 replacement stations for Fire Station 7 as well as 13 is an estimated cost between $14 and $16 million. These stations are estimated higher than Station 70 due to the anticipated higher cost for land. The needed apparatus for these 2 stations is estimated at $1.6 to $1.8 million, and the necessary staffing for these 2 stations is estimated at $10 to $10.5 million, and this will be an ongoing cost. Cost for the Joint Use Operations Center is estimated anywhere between $10 to $25 million. The wide range is due to variations of location as well as the design of the facility. The needed apparatus for this facility is estimated at $150,000 to $200,000. It would be something like a mini ambulance and 2 rangers, which would allow easy access to heavy crowded areas. Our computer-aided dispatch system is estimated between $30 to $44 million. Due to the cost shared by our regional partners that we've dispatched for, the Phoenix portion would be somewhere between $15 to $22 million, which is approximately half of what the total cost would be. And our fire fleet replacement. Phase 1 of our fleet replacement strategy is estimated to cost $31 to $33 million. The addition of apparatus into the system will result in the need for increased maintenance costs, and this increase is estimated between $250,000 to $500,000. So the total initial cost for our recommendations is estimated between $95 to $123.5 million. And the total ongoing annual fees costs would be $16.25 to $17.3 million. And based on our needs and our current capacity to manage these recommendations, the fire department is recommending the following implementation strategy if funding were to become available. Fire Station 70 would occur in the years 1 through 3. Replacement Station 7 would occur in years 2 through 4. Fire Station 13 replacement would occur in years 1 through 3. The Joint Use Operations Center would occur in years 2 through 4. Computer-aided dispatch center incurs 1 through 3. And the fleet replacement would occur in years 1 through 3. This concludes my portion of the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from my colleagues? No questions.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Thank you again for the opportunity to present to you our critical needs. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our staff for helping and assisting us with the presentation. Assistant Chief Mary Roberts, Ms. Tracy Ferminia, Corey Williams, and Art Fairbanks were all instrumental in helping us with this presentation. So in order for us to discuss the capital needs, again, we want to put in context some of the rationale and reasons why. So we want to continue to assess our conditions of our vehicles and our facilities, improve our service to the community, provide a safe and healthy environment for our employees, prepare for continued growth with our population and in our community, and also, in closing, increase our ability to better engage with the community, not only now, but in the years to come. So as we're going through this presentation, much like Chief Cockbrenner's, this is a 40 to 50-year decision that we're making. So let's first talk about police headquarters, just to recap. I won't go into all the details of some of you all who took the tour to our facility. It's the oldest facility that we have in the city. It's 44 years old. If you think in terms and context of commercial buildings, because it never goes off, it equates to an 88-year use of our building in our facility. It has 700 of our employees. It's an aging facility. As you all know, with the recent rains that came in, we literally started taking pictures of water intrusion to the point of a waterfall downstairs in the 29,000 square foot of space that we have or is unavailable for us to use in the basement. Many of you were aware that we don't have holding cells, holding rooms, interview rooms. At least one of you folks sitting up there, I had the pleasure to run into one of our suspects when using one of the facilities. So it's obvious that we need to do something with that building. Next up, we have Cactus Park Precinct. It's our oldest precinct that we have. During double squad days, 2 squads can't fit in the briefing room because there's nowhere to sit. It's not enough space and use. As you walk in the building, the ceilings are very low. If you go to the ladies' restroom, we have more women in that facility than we have space and locker space for the women to use in the facility. And I always like to talk about the fact that there are still ashtrays in the bathrooms of that facility. Next up, we have one that's near and dear to my heart because it's where I started. So as a brand new officer in Maryville, I can remember moving to the Maryville precinct, which is now 29 years old, so let's not do the math. But so it's one of our older facilities. When you walk through the back or walk in through the precinct, you see how our employees have definitely improvised. So we have extra cabinets, extra space, extra lockers, and it's really intruding on the ability to walk in and out of that facility. Also, if you go into the briefing room at Maryville Precinct on double squad day, there are not places to sit to, so it's one of our older facilities. Chief Cockbrenner mentioned the Fire and Police Joint Operations Center that we would talk about and like to have downtown. Chief Cockbrenner mentioned adding extra apparatus. I wouldn't have to add extra resources. I would just use the downtown operations officers and put them in that facility. But think in context of the fact that we're bringing so many big events here in the city, it would be nice to have a facility downtown for our use. Our vehicles are in desperate need of replacement. We have a little over 2,300 vehicles in our fleet, but right around 58% of them are in need of replacement from a patrol strategy. And lastly, our aerial fleet. At the bottom, you see the police helicopter. We currently have 5. We'd like to have 6. They are all in need of replacement. When we think in context of helicopters, it's a force multiplier for calls for service. They take about 10,000 calls for service off the backs of patrol. They're able to call pursuits in the air. They're able to create a good and safe environment for our officers on the ground. Plus, our twin engine and our Cessna aircraft are in desperate need of repair also. As we look on the horizon, for obvious reasons, talking about initial assessments and facilities, we have to look at the rest of our precincts. And I won't read all those, but you can see all those that are up there. There are in no order. We're just listing the ones that we need to make initial assessments to and figure out how to better manage and replace or find better use for those facilities. So much like Chief Cockbrenner, I'll show on the screen a bar chart too. Our vision of police headquarters is to really have a warm, welcoming environment where our community members feel welcome to come in. It's really about community service and functionality. I would love to have our community members come to precinct headquarters, and if you want to report, I don't send you to a facility on Grant to pick it up. If you're a victim, I would love not to have to send you other places. So we're looking at an opening, welcoming environment with a lobby, parking spaces for our community members. If you're a community member and you come to police headquarters, there's no place for you to park other than a meter. We're also looking at the employee piece, an employee wellness center, a training center, and a prisoner processing center, and a prisoner holding facility. You all know that we have the centralized booking facility that's off-site and away from police headquarters. And once again, just to remind everyone, this is a 40 to 50-year decision that we're making. Same holds true for the police precincts also, if I can get those to scroll up. So Cactus Park Precinct and Maryville Precinct are in need of replacement also. Corey, I gotta be smarter than the little Turner thing. So the replacement schedule for Cactus Park and Maryville Precinct 2, again, it takes time to start the initial phase, the design phase, as well as a project duration of 2 years or more. For our precincts 2, we want a warm and welcoming environment for community service and functionality, as well as police headquarters. So when we talk about replacing our vehicle fleet, obviously we can't replace everything at one time, so we're looking at 58% of our fleet, or roughly 1,350 vehicles, to be replaced, keeping in mind our vehicles are running 24/7. So officers come off shift 1, they hand the keys to a person on shift 2, who hands the keys to someone else on shift 3. Our cars never have downtime. We would also look at staggering our aerial fleet also, to purchase 3 helicopters initially, to purchase, a twin-engine rescue helicopter and a Pilatus fixed-wing aircraft. And our aircrafts are used to transport detectives, they're used for surveillance, so we definitely use those. Lastly, when we talk costs of our facilities, total cost is between $354 and $490 million for all the things that we've mentioned to you previously. And as Chief Cockburner mentioned, we just wanted to show you a bar chart of what we would need to start and finish and how long it would take us to build headquarters, replace our vehicle fleet, lease purchase helicopters, purchase the aircraft, replacement for a Cactus Park precinct, and Maryville precinct as well. With that, I would be welcome to answer any questions if you have them. If not, I will give the clicker to Denise.
Any questions for the chief? All righty, Denise?
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I'm Denise Olson, Chief Financial Officer with the City of Phoenix. So you've heard about all the capital needs, the significant capital needs. So now we just want to give you a broad overview of some of the funding sources that may be possible to fund those capital programs. We'll be happy to come back at a later date and give you a lot more detail. We just want to give you an overview at this time. So first, we have our existing sources. We have impact fees, and as you know, the impact fees are restricted to growth areas. We also have the Sports Facilities Fund, and as you know, the Sports Facilities Fund right now is being used to support our downtown arena. The revenues from that Sports Facilities Fund are coming from tourists, specifically their use of hotels and rental cars through a sales tax that we collect. We also have about $13 million of one-time miscellaneous revenues, and that's coming from land proceeds and also from some bond proceeds from past bond sales. So those are our existing sources that we've identified. Next, we have new sources. We could implement a sales tax for food. If we implement a sales tax based on the if we implement a food tax based on our sales tax we have today, we would collect anywhere between $50 and $60 million annually. The second thing we could do is implement a general obligation bond program, and this would have to be approved by the voters in November of 2019. When we talk about significant capital programs like we're talking about here today, we have typically done a bond program to support those capital needs. And again, this is supported by property taxes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff, who will give you more specifics of engaging in a bond program.
Mayor, Chairman Nowakowski, members of the subcommittee, in your last presentation on this topic, you asked us to come back and provide you with an overview of the process because it's been a long time since we've gone through it, and many of you have actually not gone through a city bond process. So I wanted to take a few moments just to walk you through those various steps. So again, as Denise mentioned, walking backwards, the primary thing that we have to be concerned about is that all bond elections, GO bond elections, have to occur on a November ballot. So walking back from there, this is what our timeline would be based on. And I'm also going to interject some 2006 kind of illustrations to kind of show you the point in terms of the timing that's required for some of this stuff. So again, I think between now and roughly December is the time to really, for the council to identify what a scope would look like for a particular bond program. During that time, staff would also be responsible for analyzing all of the financial needs that are associated with that. That includes the initial cost as well as the ongoing costs that are associated with that, to include the servicing of new facilities and the staffing of new facilities. Again, you're not talking about just all one-time money. So if we're building new facilities, those new facilities in many instances, especially on the fire side, require additional staff. So that requires an ongoing expense. So it's not just one-time money. Then the second thing that needs to occur roughly in the January timeframe would be for the mayor to appoint the various committees. Now those appointments are based on recommendations from council. To kind of give an illustration based on the 2006 program, first and foremost, the first committee that gets established is the Executive Bond Committee. And then after that, you've got a listing of other committees such as the Fiscal Capacity, Operation and Maintenance, Public Relations, and some other things. Now the 06 bond program had 14 subcommittees because if you remember the magnitude of the 06 bond program was $868 billion and it covered a variety of different things, right? Those committees met for basically 4 months. They took from roughly June to the beginning of November to formulate their recommendations to council. In those meetings, they're open to the public. Public has an opportunity to speak on what they like and don't like, but it's really to vet those costs of those individual projects, to really get those things down so that ultimately those committees can come back to the council with a recommendation. So based on our timeline, that recommendation would have to go to the council, I would say by May. And then in June, the council would have to approve those recommendations if they agreed with the merits of those proposals, as well as formulate the language of the ballot. And then following that, roughly in the September timeframe, so between July and September, we've got to work on the citizen pro and con arguments, as well as formulate again the form of the ballot. And then that would lead us to our November election. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Milton.
So by way of summary, the public safety departments are continuing to grow. They're continuing to respond to additional calls for service. We've indicated before that the city's population is continuing to grow. Asset maintenance was deferred during the Great Recession, so we are at a place in time where we need to devote some attention to it. As both chiefs indicated, some of the facilities that we're talking about are 40 to 50 year decisions. So we could take our time to sort of figure it out, but you are thinking for the long term because it's not something we do every day or every year. Infrastructure, vehicles, and equipment renewal and replacement are needed in order for us to more effectively deliver the services that we're charged to do. And we are here providing information. We'll provide information in the future, but we will be seeking direction from the subcommittee on how you would like us to proceed.
Basically, I want to thank, first of all, the city manager and his staff and Mr. Fairbanks for really going out there and looking at all of our facilities and doing a needs assessment and reporting back to us. And the report wasn't that good. It looks like a lot of our buildings are getting older and they need a little love and tenderness there. So one of the things that we looked at is different ways of actually helping out and improving the infrastructure that we have right now and providing the accurate equipment that we need for our police and fire. One of the things I did as a chairperson is I asked our mayor to actually let's do something about this, and she was right on, because we need to look at different ways outside the box to make sure that we provide all these needs for our police and fire and that it's taken care of. So that's why for the last 4 to 5 months, we've been really focusing on all the different capital improvements that we need within fire and police. So I want to thank my colleagues for having the patience and the time for listening to all these reports. And with that, I'd like to pass it on to any of my colleagues that have any words. We have no cards on this. One card on it. Would you like to listen to the person first? Yeah. Mr. J.J. Johnson.
Mayor, members of the council, there's no question that our public safety infrastructure is at risk, which imperils citizens, and it imperils the people that we ask to provide public safety. I would strenuously object to using a food tax to finance this, and it is quite frankly offensive that the developers who are becoming billionaires planting giant buildings in downtown Phoenix are not on the hook for paying for this public safety infrastructure. You want to build a great big building, you're going to build a fire station too. I think it makes perfect sense. We have to start looking for equity when we fund things. You can't keep shifting the burden to homeowners. It's not fair. Yes, homeowners should have a piece of it, but they shouldn't be the only people paying for it. Stop being afraid of developers. They're not going to build stuff in Gilbert. They're going to build it in Phoenix. Let's make sense of this. Let's work with the community, and I would like to see a far more transparent procedure with this, with the capital improvements, than we saw with light rail, because that was a complete mess. It remains a complete mess because of the deliberate opacity which seems to have infected this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any other comments or?
I'd like to make a comment. I am a strong supporter of public safety, like most everybody in this chamber happens to be. I fully believe that it's our responsibility to continue to move forward with this. I think we need to look at options. I do not support a food tax either. I don't know if we can do impact fees downtown, but maybe that's something we need to look into if there's some mechanism. I think JJ's correct when he says we need to have somebody who's building 30 stories tall contribute to the fire needs and police needs that are happening down here. I know we can't take action today, but I would like to see this continue to move forward, brought to the council, based on what you've said, and continue down this path so we could have it on the ballot in November 19th. We could get the committee appointed. Council members could appoint people to this committee. I think it's very important. Public safety is the #1 thing. It's not something we can ignore any longer. I think that it's very irresponsible for us to do so. If you want to recruit new police officers, they have to know they have a building that's safe to go to. I think the rains in this month definitely made a case for you. The list of buildings that were being flooded or had rainfall coming in through the sides, the roof, wherever, was very telling. And the longer we wait, the more expensive it will be. And I would rather address this now and continue down this path, because it's a long time to get those buildings built, designed, etc. So I would like us to act as expeditiously as possible to do this. That's my recommendation, that we continue to move this forward to the council based on further details and options.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Mendoza. Councilmember Waring.
Thank you. Just a couple questions. This isn't critiquing anything on the list. I'm just curious. The Fire and Police Joint Operations Center for downtown, You guys referenced the big events. Obviously, we do have big events, but, you know, we don't, depending on how you define the average baseball or basketball game, I mean, you know, if you're talking about the national championship game or the Super Bowl festivities, all-star games, that stuff, I mean, yes, we have a lot more than every other city, more than Gilbert, to this point. No offense, Gilbert, just teasing. But I mean, we don't have those every day. We don't have them every week. We go years without having them, even though we have more than the average city. So what would this be used for on a day-to-day basis? And is it some sort of substitute for the facility that's, maybe I shouldn't say where that facility is, but the emergency joint facility?
Mr. Chairman, Council Member Waring, and I'll speak from the police side. So when we think in context of growth, downtown is going to boom with more people, more events in nightlife, more events downtown. So currently, with the police department and the downtown operations unit, I have people at multiple facilities. So they all come together downtown when things happen, but I don't have one place to put them. And we're always working side by side with the fire folks when it comes to people who need aid, people who may need to be rescued, people with heart and medical conditions. So that's what the police side would use a facility for. So again, it's not planning for today and all the big events, but it's really planning for future growth and the growth downtown.
May I interject before Chief Kalkbrenner goes? So is this, would it be fair to say it's like a police substation? I mean, you've had it manned, it sounds like 24/7.
So I would look at it more like a joint use facility where we have police and fire commingled, who constantly and consistently work and deploy from that area downtown, as opposed to, for me, deploying in other places in the city. So if you want to call it a substation, I don't know if I would call it that. I would call it a joint use facility where you have both police and fire housed in one location.
And Michael, Mr. Chair, sorry, I don't necessarily want to call it anything. I'm just trying to get a grasp about how much is this going to get used. And would it be possible, I know it's a joint use facility, but if there were a new police station downtown, I mean, it's right down the street from this building, would it be possible to share space with fire and not have to build a whole separate building?
So, Mr. Chairman, Councilmember Waring, anything's possible. Okay. So when we talk about our downtown facility, we could build enough space. If we're thinking to the future, we're talking IA courts, booking facilities. It might make sense to have fire join in with us. We were together before in police headquarters prior to fire moving out. So that's not beyond comprehension.
Okay, well, I would certainly request then that when they're trying to design a building, if it comes to that, we're still, I think, a ways away from that, but I think planning should be going on. If this is something that the council wants to move forward, I would certainly hope that that would be something that would be considered. And I guess I'd also like Chief Kalkbrenner's thoughts on the Joint Operations Center as well.
Chairman Nowakowski, members of the subcommittee, similar to like Chief Williams says, oftentimes we'll deploy bike teams for downtown events or street fairs where they close off roads, which means we can't get fire trucks to emergency. So having a downtown event center would allow us to pre-stage locations, so we could put our bike teams, our cart teams, we could store our bikes there, we could have meetings before we deploy in the morning, like a briefing that the police department has quite regularly, and it would just be an easier way to get it. I mentioned the mini ambulances as well as the rangers. If we have to get into Hans Park, if we have to get down to the Civic Center where these large events where we typically have bike teams and carts just trolling the streets, this could be an operations center where they could actually be staged from a central location to be able to deploy in the appropriate location in the event there were an emergency.
Can I ask a question about specifically the location? So the police station is, like I said, right down the street from here. What is your definition of like downtown and inside? I really haven't attended the events that are downtown for the Super Bowl and that kind of thing, but I know kind of the footprint because you guys give us a map so we can get into our own offices. Are you trying to be inside that bubble? Because I guess the police station is currently located wouldn't be in that.
Clearly, we'd like to be somewhat outside of that bubble simply so we have better access, but the areas are the convention center, obviously, it's the arena, the ballpark, and then Mayor Hans Park, where we have quite a bit of events where we need to have access to. So the location would be availability of land, a joint police fire place, and with the police, if they would welcome us, we would be more than happy to join them wherever this was located at.
Mr. Chair, Chief, so the current location of the police station, police headquarters, excuse me, would be acceptable in terms of location?
From my perspective, correct.
One thing that got mentioned, obviously we have big events and so forth, but we are in flux. I think both the county and the city with the stadiums, which is kind of the nexus for a lot of the big events. Obviously, you mentioned the Civic Center, and of course, there's high rises and so forth that were mentioned, so something could happen there. So it's not just about events. But, you know, I would encourage us, before we go the route of the Joint Operations Center, you know, we need to make sure kind of what it is we're going to be protecting and guarding, because that could change pretty radically. I'm not saying it will, but certainly it's definitely open-ended going through 2022. We don't want to over-prepare for something that now is not going to get used as much as you might expect, based on the current footprint of what's down there. So just food for thought. The new fire computer-aided dispatch system, obviously for Chief Kalkbrenner. So would the idea be that would shave time off response times?
Chairman Nowakowski, members of the subcommittee. Sir, no, we currently have a system that is 20 to 30 years old that we have continued to update and remodel to the point where we don't have the ability to support it with the infrastructure. So this is to our ability to dispatch for the Phoenix Fire Department, which is about 170,000 calls a year, as well as our automatic aid partners, which are the 22 cities that we dispatch for. So this system is strictly to take a 911 call in from when the police departments hand it to us, and our ability to dispatch calls, and house about an on-duty group of about 70 dispatchers to deploy our members.
So, Mr. Chair, Chief, so it's basically an updated of the thing we already have.
Chairman Nowakowski, members of the subcommittee, correct.
Okay, and we're paying half because we're half the calls?
Chairman Nowakowski, yeah, correct. Yeah, we're about 52% of the calls are Phoenix, 48% are our automatic aid partners.
So for Chief Williams, so looked into this before, but it's been several years. My understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the helicopters are extremely expensive, maintenance intensive. They're just really expensive. I'm curious, how much do they get used over a given day?
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, they get used about 5,000 hours a year annually. They're up constantly calling pursuits in the sky, making sure our officers are being safe. Keeping in mind, too, it's just a great safety tool for us, and it decreases our liability when we have our officers on the ground in pursuit. So they're used about 5,000 hours per year, and they're up constantly, down for maintenance. Our maintenance folks are very committed to keeping them up and running on a regular basis. They are expensive, but it's a great way to police and a much safer way for our community and for our officers to police.
And I certainly take your expert opinion on that. I'm just more curious. I was on a police ride-along where, right out of the box, it's a helicopter call, and the officer was like, you see the helicopter? I'm like, I think it's right there. And mayhem ensued. But yes, it was certainly helpful in that situation involving guns and miscreants in our parks. The plane, how much does the plane get used?
So Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, so it depends. We constantly use those planes for surveillance, things that are going on in the city. We also use those planes to transport detectives within the state, maybe sometimes in New Mexico and other places to go pick up prisoners. How often are they used? They're used routinely and regularly. I don't have the number of hours that they're used, much like the helicopters, but once again, it's a great way to police and get our investigators from one place to another. When we're surveilling and working with other law enforcement agencies such as the FBI and ATF, it's a very helpful tool and a good way for us to monitor what's going on in the sky.
How much does the plane cost?
So the Cessnas is about $1 million each. The twin engine is $10 million, and the Pilatus is $6 million.
And that was all reflected in the numbers you gave us?
Yes, sir.
Replacing them, brand new planes?
Yes, sir. But at a staggered schedule, keeping in mind, if we were granted the money today, it would still take me 18 to 24 months to acquire those crafts, because that's how long it takes on order.
How old are the planes we have now? If you don't know it, it's not meant to be a trick question.
I do. It's actually in my notes here. So the planes are anywhere between 18 to 24 years old when you look at the time and maintenance and the different things that they've done with those equipment and crafts. So we've been utilizing them and sending them back out. It's just time for us to really look down the road and begin the process to stagger replacement.
Is that how long a plane's supposed to last, 18 to 24 years, or?
So typical planes usually last about 5 years or so, and we've overextended that use, anywhere between 7 to 14 to 18 to 24 years.
How much are the helicopters?
Helicopters are 715, helicopters are $5 to $6 million each.
So the helicopters are more expensive than a smaller plane by quite a bit, right? Didn't you say $1 million versus?
So again, the helicopters are $5 to $6 million. That Cessna aircraft that's used for training too is about $1 million each, so yes.
And I totally understand, again, ride-along experience, that you're using your vehicles continuously, so that goes, I think, without saying in all of this. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Chairman
you, Jim.
Nowakowski, if I may, and members of the subcommittee, I'd just like to add a note regarding the helicopters. As you're aware, we go on hundreds of mountain rescues a year within the city of Phoenix boundaries, and these helicopters are a crucial tool for our ability to rescue people off of areas that we do not have the ability to get them safely down the mountain. They also do pre-fire planning for us on fires, but primarily in the mountain rescues. They fly overhead and let us know where those patients actually are, because oftentimes we can't get a visual on them. They get up in the air. My firefighters now can go up into the area that they're located, start care, and then get them off the mountain using a helicopter. And I want to say several times a week they're dispatched, and typically maybe 1 or 2 a week we actually use them. So it's a huge tool for our ability to effect a rescue on mountains all over the city.
Thank you. And once again, I want to thank you all for all your hard work in putting this report together. And Mr. Fairbanks, thank you for your needs assessment in all of our different buildings throughout the city of Phoenix. And Mayor, I think that you'll be getting a letter from some of us asking to create some type of a bond committee to look into the future of actually having a bond and other ways of maybe getting new sources of income into the city of Phoenix to cover some of this expense. Any other comments? With that, thank you so much, and we'll go to the next item, which is item number 6.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, you see a big contingent of us here to talk about the long-range acoustic device. I have next to me Assistant Chief Sandra Renteria, who's the Division Chief over the Downtown Operations Unit, and that would be the unit and the only unit in the department that would utilize the system. So with that, I will turn the microphone over to Assistant Chief Renteria, who can introduce the rest of the speakers.
Chairman Nowakowski and subcommittee members, my name is Sandra Renteria. With me also is Commander Dennis Orender, who is the commander over the Downtown Operations Unit and our Tactical Response Unit. He will be here to discuss the uses of the LRAD. Also, to his right is Mr. Peter Lecheminant, who is the City Safety Division Industrial Hygienist assigned to the Police Department, and he'll be able to cover the safety requirements and aspects of the long-range acoustic device. Just to give some background, we currently have an LRAD 100, which is a small LRAD, which is about the size of a backpack. Last year during the presidential rally, we found that it was insufficient for our needs. We received some feedback in community input that said that they could not hear any of the warnings before any of our chemical munitions were used, and that was part of the concerns from them. And some of the community information that they gave us was they requested for us to look at ways to better communicate to them so they could actually hear some of the information that we put out using that small backpack. Not only did we use that small 100 backpack, but we also used our car PA system and the helicopter PA system also. It was a large crowd, as we remember, and so we were unable to reach some of the members out in the community out there demonstrating. That took us to start looking at the LRAD a little bit further. We found the LRAD 500 is the one that we're requesting to purchase 2 of. after looking into the research, we found over 425 police agencies currently have an LRAD locally. Tempe PD, Scottsdale, Salt River PD, and Tucson PD have an LRAD. And when we looked on a national level, major cities such as San Diego, Portland, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Baltimore, Tampa, Dallas, Houston, Las Vegas, and Berkeley even has 2 on order since their last riot, which was earlier this year. Federally, the FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, and Secret Service are using the LRAD system. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commander Orender to discuss the uses and our policy of the LRAD.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. As mentioned, this device would fall within the use of our downtown operations unit and our tactical response teams. And those are the officers who are tasked with addressing large crowds, protests, and rallies. But I think it's also important to note that we would not only use it for situations such as those protests. We could use it for parades, we could use it for active shooter situations, potential barricades, emergency evacuations, or any time we need to make some mass communication messaging to our particular neighborhoods. Along with the purchase of the device, the company will provide training to all of the officers, as well as our city safety industrial hygienist who is here. We would have a policy in place to address how this device would be used, when it would be used, and that includes ensuring that we have proper setbacks, and that's used within the manufacturer's recommendations, as well as recommendations made by our city safety unit. Currently, there are over 400 departments, I think Chief Renteria mentioned, that use some version of the LRAD, and we recognize that this device will certainly provide us with the opportunity to communicate instructions to participants at either protests or some of the aforementioned events that I talked about, and it will allow us to diffuse some difficult situations through safe communication. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. As the industrial hygienist to the police department, I oversee the safe operation of all of our police officers, including their exposure to noise. Some of the concerns that have been addressed with this device is how loud it can get and the exposure to the public and our police officers. The information given to us for the model that we would purchase from LRAD maxes out as 149 decibels, which is fairly loud, but that is measured 1 meter away from the unit. Information we've received from LRAD, and as well as information we would get in the training, LRAD does have specific recommendations for its use as far as the levels and the intended target distance. So just in brief, noise follows a simple principle called the inverse square law, where the farther the distance, the quieter or the less intense the noise is. Following LRAD specifications, generally the intended decibel or noise level that the intended target would receive would be about 113 decibels, which is comparable to about a chainsaw. So even though it is loud when used properly and to the manufacturer's recommendations or specifications, it can be safely used. And we have that obligation not only to safely use it with our members of the public, but as well as our police officers potentially could be on the other side of this device as well. We have that obligation to protect our officers from any loud or permanent damage from hearing loss.
So with that, if you all have any questions, we'd be willing to answer any of the questions that you have.
Absolutely, Mayor.
Is this mounted on a vehicle or carried by somebody? I can't visualize how you're doing this, because I'm thinking if it's being held by an officer, they'd be less than a foot away, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Mayor Williams, currently, if you look at Tempe's has it mounted on a vehicle. For our purposes, we're going to mount it on a trailer that can be hitched to another vehicle and that we can take out and use. The smaller system that Assistant Chief Renteria talked about is a system that's in a backpack that was on our employees during the protest. But again, if you're standing behind that employee, you can't see it. So this device is going to be mounted on a trailer hitch and then taken to different locations.
Alrighty, so I'll start off with Sean.
Chairman and members of subcommittee, LRAD 500X operators have the capability to issue clear, authoritative verbal commands, followed with powerful deterrent tones to modify behavior, enhance response capabilities, and provide more time to scale the use of force if required. That's a direct quote from the spec doc for this model. So this model is a military-grade sonic weapon. So if something has the capability of being used as a weapon, it is thus a weapon. And this is something that Chief Williams and the police department here have repeatedly denied, that it's a weapon. If you research this at all, you'll find that what it's primarily used for, whether at G20, in Pittsburgh, at Standing Rock, is the deterrent tone function. To suppress at decibels very much capable of damaging hearing those it's being used against. This is a weapon of war, and that's the problem. This Phoenix PD should not be at war with the community. This is a PD that is shooting citizens at an unprecedented and unacceptable rate. This is a PD that has been dubbed by the press the most violent in the nation. This is a PD that is being sued by the ACLU for excessive force in this type of situation. The community doesn't want this adversarial relationship with the police department. We understand that our officers have an incredibly difficult job, and I personally have a lot of respect for what they do day in and day out. But until the police department and Chief Williams is willing to take a stand and actually take responsibility and start working with the community instead of blaming the community for our own deaths, for our own shootings, we will continue to live in a city in which many of the communities will think twice before calling them for help. This community desperately wants to trust the PD, but we need to begin the process of building trust with the police department, and that's really begins with Chief Williams. So when we have a promise of this not being used as a weapon, I'll be frank, we have no reason to believe that. This PD has not promised that they would not use the deterrent tone functionality. Do not send this weapon of war to the council. This needs to die here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Mr. London?
Morning, Chairman Nowakowski, members of the subcommittee. My name is Britt London. I am the Vice President of the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association, and we're here to speak in support of the purchase of the LRAD system. We believe it's progressive technology that will assist not only our community, but our police department. We know that at times when our community exercises the right to peaceful protest, there can be factions of that protest that are not so peaceful. The LRAD system has a unique technology which can broadcast a clear message a great distance in a way that conventional systems, the ones we have now, a PA, cannot do. I don't know if you've ever been in a crowd when the air unit is above trying to give direction. It never works. About 3 people can hear it. I think that the biggest advantage to the LRAD is that if a message is broadcast and not adhered to, it can have an alert, an alarm that assists with crowd dispersal. And this is done in a non-kinetic way, which means we're not firing gas canisters, pepper balls, water cannons, which we don't do. And that is another consideration for our community, I believe. I'm sure I read a different information on the LRAD system, but if you quoted 149 decibels, I think at 160 decibels is when hearing damage occurs. And again, it's not advertised as a weapon. I don't think it's a weapon. Again, I think it's it's advantageous to have another hands-off approach to crowd dispersal. I believe it's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Mr. J.J. Johnson?
Mayor, council members, the data sheet on LRAD's site shows the discharge or the output of this at 154 decibels. That exceeds the That exceeds the muzzle blast of a Glock 9mm. So I find it rather fanciful that the hygienist says that this is not damaging. United States District Judge Robert Sweet of the Southern District of New York wrote, the use of an X100, not the 500 that they're talking about here, the X100 as a projector of powerfully amplified sound is no different than other tools in law enforcement's arsenal that have the potential to be used safely or harmfully. One example being distraction devices like stun grenades, flashbang, or concussion grenades, which detonate with a blinding flash of light and deafening explosion, and whose purpose to be extremely loud and distracting. It is interesting that Commander Renteria didn't reference NYPD or Pittsburgh, who have both paid millions of dollars for the damage that their police departments have done with this weapon. This weapon is indiscriminate. When this thing is employed, it violates the First, Fourth, Eighth, and 14th Amendments, because you can't focus it on one person. I fully expect this police department, if somebody throws something at a cop, I fully expect them to send an officer out there and arrest that individual. But getting your feelings hurt is not a good reason to shut down a peaceful protest. It just isn't. This is poorly considered, and my public records requests for communications between this police department and the single bidder have not come back yet. The community does not have information on what has been communicated by LRAD executives and salespeople. I think you need to get on the horn, talk to NYPD, and find out why they have drastically changed it. Now, if this police department says they won't use the long-form weaponized tone, I'd probably withdraw my objection.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mrs. Woods?
The LRAD, its effects have been likened to a standing in front of a jet engine, a blast of amplified sound capable of inducing headaches, panic, and hearing loss. My father was a jet pilot, so I have personally seen its lifelong effects. The LRAD made headlines first in 2009 in Pittsburgh when it was used during the G2 summit against protesters. The ACLU of Pennsylvania filed a lawsuit on behalf of one bystander who suffered permanent hearing loss. In the lawsuit, the ACLU argued that the city and individual police officers had violated Karen Piper's constitutional right to peacefully assemble. A recent federal appeals court this June brought another perspective to the torture that the LRAD can inflict that can ultimately damage human hearing. It amounts to excessive use of force. I have not attended a protest since I experienced the fear of use of pepper bombs at the Mompin March, seeing the smoke from afar and hearing screams as women with their children fled past me at the sound of the first explosion. Now I have even greater reason to not protest, for if I do, myself and others know what to expect. I don't have a choice, which the spokesman for the company said I do. Please put yourself in my place and take a stand against using the LRAD's pain-inducing alert tones for crowd control, and choose to use it for communication only during siege and disaster situations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Woods. That's all the cards except for one in support. Tim from Plea, thank you. With that, Councilmember Mendoza.
Question. Did New York or Pittsburgh have any policies in place for the decibels like the ones we have or we're placing?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, at the time that incident occurred, from my understanding, there was no policy in place, nor was training given to those officers who utilized the device. Since then, from my understanding, they have developed a policy and have opted into the training that LRAD provides to the officers.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman Mendoza, too, also in our policy, We have a stipulation that says that under no circumstances will the department take any steps to weaponize the LRAD. The alert tones are going to be limited to 2 to 5 seconds. Our decibel levels are at 113 decibels. So we've really looked very carefully at some of the lessons that we've seen across the country in order to better communicate with our community members, which we weren't capable of doing or able to do the night of the protest.
So Chief, what I'm hearing out there is that people are concerned that this is going to be used as a weapon. My understanding is it's only going to be used when there's a large crowd and you feel that there's a need for this device that the crowd can't hear. The sound systems, the blowhorns, the helicopter, in that sense. Is that right?
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, absolutely. It's a communications device. So when we look at officers responding on scene, our presence is a step, our communication is a next step. So we're really looking at this as a communications device and a communications device only.
And are we willing to put that in our policy, that it is only going to be used as that?
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, yes, so we have all of that in there. I think one of the concerns that the community members have is the alert tones function. We can look at that more closely, but again, not every police officer will have this piece of equipment. There will be 15, maybe 18 people on the department who are tactically trained to follow this policy, tactically trained to utilize the system, and would use it in a way that is transparent and accountable for our police department.
So basically, it'll only be the 15 or 18 individuals that are trained to use this equipment that would be using it. Also, is there any safeguards? I mean, let's say if there's abuse of using this equipment after they're trained and that it is being used as a weapon, as it was described in New York, do we have anything, any type of policy in the department where force of policy of what is it called? Force of use.
So, Mr. Chairman, yes, we do. We would add into our policy that officers will comply with Operations Orders 1.5, which is our use of force policy. That clearly spells out what you should do if someone says that they're injured, who to report to, what to do. So our use of force policy is very clear, and we would add that section into this policy that we have currently.
Councilmember Mendoza?
Can we add something specifically, though, for the LRAD policy if someone decides not to follow our policy?
Chairman Nowakowski and Councilwoman Mendoza, absolutely we can add in the policy saying something to the effect of the use of the LRAD must follow the use of force policy. I answered your question.
I'd like to see that language once you write it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Is there a motion?
I'd second it, noting that the guidelines are going to be amended and improved for this conversation.
And as the chair, I just want to let people know that this is something very important. It was something that we heard out from the community, that the incident with the president, that they were not warned. So this is a tool to actually be used to warn individuals before that, before the police actually go to the next level. So with all those policies, and we still have, you'll have all those changes to the policy before we vote on it as a council, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, next would be call to the public. There's no cards to the public, so is there any future agenda items that y'all?
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, I draw your attention to the fact that our November meeting will probably take a little while to get through the agenda. We have to start the discussion in preparation for the next legislative agenda, so that would be on there. Additionally, you all will be conducting interviews of all those individuals that are interested in serving on the Ethics Commission. My understanding that it's 16 people, so you interview all 16 in order to make your decision. And then we've got an item dealing with a junkyard ordinance as well as a public records request change for the police. I think the meeting is slated for November 14th, and hopefully we'll be back in the room that we're normally in. But it will take us a while to get through all of that agenda.
If it's all right with my colleagues, I'd like to see if there's a special meeting time that we can actually appoint those individuals and listen to the 16 that are being recommended on the Ethics Committee. Are you open to that, instead of having it one day where we're here? All right. So if we can actually try to find a time that works for all four of us, and then we'll have the Ethics Committee separate from the Public Safety. We'll have a special meeting on that.
Yes, sir.
Any other future agenda items? Councilmember Mendoza?
Thank you. You spoke about the junkyards, an ordinance about the junkyards. Does this include the ordinance that refers to the stacking of vehicles? Because I've received some calls about that.
That's what it's about.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other future agenda items? With that, meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.